Hello and welcome to today's webinar about supporting Queensland energy consumers financially affected by COVID-19. I'm Jane Pires, the Energy and Water Ombudsman for Queensland, and today's discussion will focus on the customers in South East Queensland. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands where we meet today and the lands and seas and waters across Queensland. I recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and culture, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Energy and Water Ombudsman in Queensland, I just want to give you a really quick overview that we are a free, fair and independent dispute resolution service for customers who have a problem with their electricity, gas or water provider. Our jurisdiction is statewide for energy and in the southeast corner for water for all residential customers and small businesses, including sole traders and family businesses. More than half of our cases are about billing issues, usually about high bills, estimated bills, errors in bills, or rebates and concessions that haven't been applied to bills and not applied correctly. Credit-related issues like payment plans, collection activity and disconnections are the second most common reason people contact us. We also help with connection issues, transfer of supply issues, marketing and customer service. There are some issues that we can't help with, like the price of energy, bottled gas, bulk hot water, embedded networks. However, it is likely we'll know who can help you with these issues if we can't. And so if you're stuck or don't know where to go, please give us a call and we'll make sure we get you through to the right person who can. To ensure that the energy providers are given every opportunity to resolve the matter with you before you come to us, please direct your contact to them in the first instance. And if you come to us and you haven't, we will ask you to contact with them. And then if the matter is still unresolved, then we can take the case in through the Ombudsman service. It's really important that this first step in this process is undertaken to give everyone the opportunity to get it resolved as quickly as possible. 2020 has been a challenging year for everyone. As COVID-19 first spread in Australia, both the government and industry have responded quickly to introduce additional protections and measures to ease the pressure on consumers in response to the pandemic. But as the economic effects of the pandemic continue to impact the lives and livelihoods of consumers, we expect here at EWOQ that we will play an ever-increasing role in supporting Queenslanders needing help with hardship support, payment plans and information about rebates and concessions. And I understand for many consumers this will be their first time that they may have experienced this. Today's webinar is the first of two we're hosting with some of our scheme participants, the energy retailers and distributors in Queensland. I'd like to welcome our guest speakers today, who all have customers in the southeast corner of Queensland. On the call we have Marianne Hawthorne and Melanie Laurie from AGL, Clara Good from Alinta Energy, Jennifer Gates from Energex, and Rita Senthi from EnergyAustralia, Keith Robertson from Origin Energy, and Stephen Grant from Red Energy and Lumo Energy was going to join us, but unfortunately due to technical issues he can't, so I will actually talk at a high level about their process, and we'll make sure that if there's any specific questions we get them through to Stephen and then we can get the information back out. You'll hear a short presentation from each guest before we open the discussion. You're welcome to send through comments and questions throughout the session using the Q&A function. To set the scene for today's discussion, I just want to talk a little bit more about the statement of expectations for energy businesses. So these were set up earlier in the year in March by the Australian Energy Regulator, and they provided important protections for the energy consumers, encourage retailers and the customers to stay in contact with each other, and for customers to reach out if they need help. This was updated in July and it's currently set to end on the 31st of October. The regulator recognises retailers are providing additional assistance to customers, including reaching out to their customers and encourage them to get that help. Given this end date is near, there is concern from many about what's next and how we can ensure that additional assistance for customers continues. I'd like now to call on each of our guests to share their approach. So in the first instance, I would like to introduce our first presenters, which is Marianne Hawthorne and Melanie. Marianne is AGL's Affordability Manager and Melanie is AGL's Dispute Resolution Manager. Please join me in welcoming Marianne and Mel.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for the opportunity to come today and talk about AGL and how we are supporting our customers. As mentioned, my name is Marianne and I'm the Affordability Manager stepping up at the moment, and I'm coming to you from Adelaide where half of our team resides and the other half are in Melbourne. So we are back in the office some days during the week, which is really nice. So today, talking about how we've supported our customers through COVID and beyond. So when the COVID pandemic really became quite prevalent, AGL made the decision to set up a COVID-specific support platform, which for any customer that was affected, whether they already be on our hardship program or not on our hardship program, they were allowed to put their arrears on hold for about, it was worked out to be 3.5 months. It ceased on July. So this was in addition to our existing hardship program. And then since then, or towards the end of that COVID support, the customer was given some notifications about how they might like to clear any arrears which had accrued during that time. Since that has ceased, if customers still needed support, they would, because of COVID, they would go onto our hardship program. And through our hardship program, we do lots and lots of things which we're really proud of, and they generally fall into 2 buckets, which is indirect support and direct support. So indirect support is more around education, engagement, empowerment for the customer, understanding their energy, how to use it and their debt. And direct support has a more, as it suggests, impact to the customer's debt and the debt they hold with AGL. And the couple that I really wanted to call out that we've been doing lately and continue to doing, which supports our customers, is the HEAS campaign. So that top one there with the Australia. What we've been doing is actually trying to identify customers on our end that we think would be eligible for the HEAS grant, and proactively going out and contacting them and providing support with how to fill out those forms over the phone. And that is that's been fantastic and successful, and the numbers have actually updated since then. We've now had 715 forms approved with $474,000 of credits applied, which is just great news for the customer. The other one I wanted to call out was our home energy audits over the phone. So that's through where we're partnered with Your Energy Saving Solution to deliver over the phone and in-house energy audits, supporting our customers to safely reduce consumption at the property and linking them in with other AGL funded initiatives like appliance retrofits. And then the last one there I wanted to call out was the drought assistance. So what we've been doing is proactively calling our small regional businesses, as well as advertising to farmers and providing direct immediate drought relief and access to discounted solar PV systems. And we've invested $300,000 in the solar support and $670,000 in direct debt relief. And there's a few others there, but I won't go through them. That's just a bit of a sample of what AGL gets up to in this space. And then on the horizon, what's going to be coming up soon for customers on the hardship program. Well, the first dot point there, predictive hardship payment. What we have at the moment as a BAU process, which sits outside our hardship program, is where we try and identify customers that are at the very early stages of hardship and get in contact with them and try and set them up on a payment plan. So what we're going to be doing slightly differently is trying to incentivise customers to do that. So if they can take up the offer, we will offer some credits to be applied to their account in recognition of that. We're also about to launch our payment matching, which will go live in November for all payments until the end of the year. In terms of upcoming direct and indirect support, these are things that are still very much we're exploring and not locked down yet, but we're looking at utilising battery storage for hardship customers that are also homeowners. We're looking to enhance our digital platform so customers can set up long-term and medium arrangement themselves. And we always want to do more in the early identification space. So that's in a nutshell from myself. I'll hand over to Mallory, who's our dispute resolution manager.
Hi everyone. Thanks for your time today. So I just wanted to take you through some additional support that we have launched a couple of months ago to provide some additional support for our financial counsellor community. So on the top left, you'll see our Staying Connected contact number, our 1300 number. That's available for customers and for financial counsellors to call through for hardship assistance. We also have some information on our website, which I've just detailed below that. But the bit I wanted to really highlight to you is that we have a customer advocate pathway, which is an escalation point for financial counsellors if you feel you're not getting the right resolution or outcome or support that or voice that you need. So we're available through the email address, which I've highlighted there. The aim of this program is to listen, correct, and take on board your feedback so we can take your ideas and thoughts and turn them into change and improve the way that we do business, and in turn strengthening the relationship that we have between ourselves. So thank you so much for your time, and please feel free to send anything through to that email address.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both very much, and really great to see some of the innovative ideas and thinking there by AGL, and really like the dedicated contact number for the financial and community services. That's a great idea. So now I would like to hand over to Alinta Energy and Clara Good. Clara is the Manager of Quality and Process Assurance for Alinta Energy. So welcome, Clara.
Thank you very much, Jane, and thank you for allowing us to be part of this session today. I think it's fantastic. I'm actually in Melbourne, so it's actually for the first time in a long time sunny outside, so that's lovely. But obviously sitting in my kitchen and not in a lovely office, so looking forward to being in an office again one day. If we could go to the next slide, what I thought we might do today is talk to you about what we've done, what Alinta Energy has done over the last 8, 9, 10 months now since COVID has hit, and then obviously what we'll be trying to focus on from a strategic perspective. I apologise in advance, guys, we don't have any pretty images, it's more words, so I'll try and make it as exciting as possible, and obviously please, any questions that come through, totally happy to answer any of them. Aligned to what Jane was saying at the beginning, Alinta is obviously aligned with the AER statement of expectations, but I think the key thing that we're trying to do is also harmonise between all the states and jurisdictions. So we've stopped all disconnection activity, debt sale and default listing have ceased nationally. I don't foresee that happening obviously for a very long time, regardless of what the AER may say at the end of this month. I think it's really important we continue to protect our customers, just because, you know, COVID may have ended in certain areas or it's getting a bit better. I don't think the impact to customers has stopped or will stop anytime soon. We've also extended the protections for family violence. That's a Victorian regulation, I suppose, but again, really importantly understanding that any consumer or any person can be impacted by that, and we want to try and make sure that we can protect our customers regardless of what state or jurisdiction that they're in. One of the things that we realised really quite quickly on during COVID, especially for our Victorian-based employees, but for everyone, was resilience training was really important. People were having some really tough conversations with customers at the same time as going through some really tough moments themselves. And so what we did was we took our customer advocates through sort of a boot camp, so to say, of resilience training. That's really there to sort of say, how do you, still show empathy whilst you're feeling what you may be feeling, and not to take that stuff on. And that's been really successful. And we want to roll that out to all of our frontline teams, regardless of their location, because it's tough at the moment. And if, the more empathetic we can be by putting ourselves in their shoes and our customers' shoes, but also protecting ourselves, I think is really important. Another big thing, we did this pretty much 2 weeks into COVID, was quality assurance. It's in my title, so obviously I'm a believer in it. It's really important for us, and we understand that the best way to know what your customers want is by listening to what they want. And sadly, I can't answer every phone call or email that comes into the organization, but I can have a team of people that can sit there and go through and listen to every single vulnerable customer type of call that we get. So we deem that to be life support, hardship, and family violence are really the 3 critical areas. And we've had 100% audit structure across that since mid-March, I'd be saying. And that's really there to identify any triggers or opportunities, both from an agent individual perspective, so we can coach them, have an effective, they can learn what they can do either better or they can continue to do. And also, what are our customers saying? Because the best way to be able to, change a process is to actually hear what's working for the customer and what's not working. So that's been really successful. Obviously, there's other things that sit within what we've done, aligned with the statement of expectations, improving the way that we're communicating with our customers. So, changing the language and SMSs, reminder notices, etc., and really turning that into a gentle reminder or a gentle prod versus a big stick. And also, one of the things is around leniency. So we've really sort of been looking at the definition of a good customer and a bad customer and blurring that line. So the way we look at it now is if the customer is choosing Alinta to engage with them and choosing us amongst the other bills that they have. So, Foxtel, Combank, who knows what else, we see that as a positive. So, when it comes to leniency of payment plans and thresholds, we're really trying to make it that it's sort of customized to that customer and customized to rewarding the customer for engaging and choosing us. So we've seen really good success in that. And I think it's, again, the concept of being black and white, I think, has blurred more than ever with COVID. So we hope we will continue to do that, focus on what we are focusing on for the future. And that's really aligned to our transformation program. Some of you may laugh and think, what's an IT system going to do from a customer perspective? We think that, we've built and designed this brand new system, which will be going live in hopefully 9 months. That's what everyone keeps saying. And all of our East Coast customer base will sit on that, and followed by our West Coast customer base. And that system has been built and designed by Alinta, totally centered in customer-centric design, really easy for both an agent and a customer to interact with. And so if we remove some of the restrictions with old clunky systems, we think we'll get a really better outcome out of that and allow people to actually focus on the conversation versus trying to go in between 50 different screens. So we're really excited about that. And I think that will, new processes will come along with that new design. And I think that from a strategic perspective will position Alinta quite strongly for our customers and obviously for both the Ombudsman and financial counsellors, etc. too. We're really big and focusing on at the moment too about working with community and outreach programs. So we've bolstered up the functional team that sits in Melbourne underneath me, and they're really there to help sort of challenge some of the previous conceptions about what have we done and where can we go, because we're very clear about where we want to get to and delivering the best for our customers. We're also going to be upgrading our complaints management system. That allows us to more quickly resolve customer complaints, customer issues, identify customer issues. I think I've heard a lot of people already talking about it's the earlier you can get onto it, the better outcome for everybody. And we're really hoping that will help us with that, and that will also be delivered within the next 6 months. It's going to be a busy year. It's similar to what I mentioned earlier, improving our training for our teams. We're really identified recently that if you don't provide them support, you won't be able to get a good outcome ultimately. And vulnerability comes up in many different ways. It can come up, and it changes. I think vulnerability has changed a lot. So we need our people, regardless of where they're physically located, to all really understand that and work out, tips and techniques and ideas of how they can deliver a better outcome for the customer. We also want to extend our current vulnerability framework. We're a relatively new function within Alinta, only been around 10 months now, but we are really focused on, what else can we add into this? Because I think we've understood that vulnerability is a state. It's not something that defines a customer. And we're seeing, obviously, at the moment with COVID, with the recession, with everything that's going on across the world, that's constantly changing too. So how do our frameworks and our processes change to allow a customer to easily interact with that and not feel any shame or feel as though they're being sort of put into a box? We're really quite clear on that. And then lastly is improving our digital experience. As everyone said, it's really important for customers to engage in a manner that they want. So that's the strategy, how you can reach us. So we've got a hardship team and a customer resolution team, and then our details underneath, which is really my core group who look after this area. So please get in touch with us if you have any questions, feedback, positive or negative. We really want to work with everyone on this call to deliver the best that we can for all of our customers. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Para, and really great to see the effort that Alinta's going there to really identify the customer as an individual and really understand what's happening for them and acknowledge that they have reached out and called out that this is an important bill for them to pay. So really great way to work with your customers, and also love the resilience training. And I know a lot of our organisations have probably all done it and done it differently, but it's a key part of where we're at, and I think a key part of what we're going to need going forward as well. It's great. Thank you. So our next guest is Jennifer Gates, who is the Customer Resolutions Manager for Customer Market Operations for Energex. Glad that's not on my business card. So Energex is the electricity distributor in Southeast Queensland. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you for the invitation, and it's a wonderful initiative that you pushed through. As Jane mentioned, Energex is one of two distribution businesses that sit within Energy Queensland. Energex is responsible for operating and maintaining the electricity network in Southeast Queensland, and our other distributor is Ergon Energy Network, who has equal responsibilities but for regional Queensland. In response to the pandemic, Energy Queensland stood up an emergency management team who approved a COVID-19 operating model, with a view to slowing the spread of COVID-19, particularly in the context of our employees entering onto customers' premises, whether or not they're field crews or our meter readers, managing the health and safety of our employees, which would be a key responsibility of every organisation during this time, but particularly so given the interaction that our field crew will have with our customers, and equally our customers also are mindful about people entering onto their premises, and but most importantly, minimising the disruption to our customers in terms of planned maintenance work. In saying that, we've recognised as a business that the significant impact that that the pandemic has had on our customers and our communities. Just basically, we would like to support the work that the AER has done in terms of statement of expectations, and in the sense that it's we welcome the detailed guidance and responses that it's provided to the industry during this during the time of the pandemic, and more importantly for us as a distributor, it's really provided us with another opportunity to really interact with our retailers to better understand the impacts of COVID-19 on our customers. And I think whilst we try to ensure that we have a particular view of the world purely from a network perspective, but in any of our communications, and ensured that on our websites we ensured that it was reflecting also the initiatives of government initiatives or rebates that may be available to our customers generally. In terms of our response to date, I've touched on the fact of minimising the frequency and duration of planned outages. That was really key for us right at the very beginning of COVID-19. At that time, we had a lot of, most of the state was working from home, principally big corporations. And so particularly in those early days, we were, there was a lot of kind of feedback from our customers about the concern that they were having if in fact there was a planned maintenance or planned outage that was occurring. And I guess they were getting used to working at home. So we were mindful of that. As you would be aware, a distributor in the EDNC, which is the Electricity Distribution Network Code in Queensland, provides that a distributor can't act on a service request unless it is at the request of the retailer. So I'm just mentioning that in terms of any disconnection from debt, disconnections as well. So whilst there's expectations that the AR has imposed on retailers generally, we are also bound to, we'd be respectful of the expectations, but furthermore only act really on a retailer's request. What option is, we have also indicated that small business and any together with other business customers can can seek a short-term relief in the form of merely reclassification or network tariff code due to the impacts of COVID-19 on their business operations. That is a request that should be made of their retailer, and that request will be communicated to us as the distributor for that customer through a business-to-business kind of transaction inquiry. But as indicated, we're very open to considering a customer's request in this light. We have also, we're really keen at the moment to undertake some research that is happening with other distributors across a number of other jurisdictions to better understand what our customers generally are experiencing at this time. So that's something that we would be happy to share further down the track with the group generally. I think that might be the end for me. Yes, I think it is.
Thanks very much for that. And look, I know I have some very vocal neighbours, and I had the conversation over the fence one day about, oh, they're going to, they'll do a planned outage and won't be able to do this and I won't be able to do that. And only on the weekend I got, they haven't done any outages in our neighbourhood and everything's been magnificent. So that's been a really great initiative that the business has put out. So certainly do applaud that as well.
Thank you, Jane.
A lot less contact to us all as well.
Thank you.
Our next guest is from Energy Australia, and I would like to welcome Amrita Sethi, the Complaints Leader for Energy Australia. Welcome, Amrita.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jane. I am Melbourne-based. As it says on my slide, I'm the Complaints Leader at Energy Australia. I was to be accompanied by my colleague who is the leader of our credit and our hardship space, who unfortunately came down quite ill yesterday. She had no voice when I spoke with her this morning. So I'm here to present this on both our behalves. And of course, if there's any questions that come up that I feel like I'm not in a position to answer, I'll only be too happy to make note of them and circle back as soon as possible. So yes, without further ado, I'm happy to get into the presentation. We thought we'd start by sharing with you how we have been dealing with the short and long-term impacts, as you see there. But to set the context, we thought it was important to really call out that we really have seen a 76% increase nationally to the volumes coming into our hardship team. I would imagine that we share this astounding increase with a lot of our a lot of our peers in other organizations. And in preparation for that, we had to make sure that we had the right level of resourcing. So we actually had a significant recruitment uptake in, I want to say it was May this year, so that we could really effectively and meaningfully support these customers that were really needing us. So we have got the resourcing and the training in place, and we have also then picked up that we've had a 4% of our customers that actually are presenting with no capacity to pay. So that one is a tricky one for us, but I thought I'd also make sure that I share with you that when a customer does present with no capacity to pay, we generally allow for the customers a 20 business day period to work through their personal situation, and then we re-engage them to assess their capacity. The key here for us is to make sure that we continue to engage these customers. We have seen this happening since March. And therefore, we're making sure that we do re-engage, and if at that point the customer still presents no capacity, we extend this time frame, and if suited, we proceed to actually then engage into a payment plan if suitable. So it's certainly something that we've started to see since March, but the intent of this is to make sure that we continue to engage customers. Sorry, I'm just having a look at some notes there. My apologies. What we are expecting is definitely to see more small businesses shutting their doors, unemployment numbers to increase, volumes to increase with regards to new participants on the program, the customers not being able to meet their current payment plans. We've started to see a number of complaints starting to come through about customers not being able to meet their current payment plans and wanting to review their payment plans as well. So that's something that we're looking out for, because that's something that we started to see more recently. Customer debt increasing, yes, and also customers accessing government grants and rebates to be increasing. And on the right-hand side there, it's just a little visual of the various ways and processes we have in place to actually support customers. That basically makes up our framework. So in dealing with short and long-term impacts of COVID, we have seen, I beg your pardon. Sorry, having some errors at my end. Can't seem to view the slide any longer. I'll just pick up a local copy. All right.
Sorry,
I'm just assuming we're on the how do we identify potential hardship?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
That's correct, Emery.
Thank you. Sorry, that's okay. I've got my local copy here. What we've got here is a trigger, a list of our triggers, a list of our verbal cues, which definitely help us identify customers in hardship. In addition to that, we've also got a proactive process where we review customer account histories, particularly at the point where we've actually got the credit collection framework and the process enacted. Should a customer be receiving reminder notices for payment? Should the customer be on the verge of receiving a subsequent notice about a disconnection, etc.? We've got regular controls in place about the checkpoints for customer account history, which also is a proactive way for us to make sure that we are recognizing where customers are in hardship. We have a list of criteria that we apply there, and if a customer does meet those criteria, regardless of whether they've contacted us or not, those customers are then referred for assessment to our hardship team for an assessment. So I guess that visual is intended to illustrate that whilst we've got triggers and some verbal cues, we've also got some proactive work as part of the credit and collection strategy that feeds into our hardship program for further assessment. And last but not the least, of course, we've got some contact details. As I said, Andrea Linsmeyer is the leader for our affordability or hardship team, also our credit function more recently. You've got Casey there, who is the group leader, and they are the best contact points with regards to further details or any feedback on the hardship program at EA. And yes, I guess in closing, what we are expecting that we will start to see customers on payment plans utilizing the job seeker and other government initiatives to basically get to a point where once that stops being made available to them, we're expecting to see payment plans not being able to be met. So our mantra is definitely to ensure that we do not lose engagement with those customers. So if we do have missed payments, we're really hoping that we can actually have our customers make sure that they contact us, that we can reassess their capacity. That's something that is a key focus for us. And in addition to everything that I've shared today, I guess I also just wanted to call out the fact that we have also, much like some of our colleagues in other retailers, invested quite significantly in making sure that our people are supported. There's a lot of enterprise-wide programs to support our staff for both their personal issues in what they've encountered, as well as from supporting our customers. So yeah, that was us.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Amrita. And, you know, for someone who this isn't your area, you're very knowledgeable in what's going on. So that's a great thing to see as well. If someone comes in through your complaints team, then we certainly know that they're going to get through to the right area. And look, I think your comment there about no capacity to pay, unfortunately, I think you'll see that percentage increase rise for a little while. So it's great to see that you've identified that and working on ways to move forward in that space. So that's great to hear.
Thank you.
So I would now like to welcome Keith Robertson, who's the General Manager of Regulatory Policy for Origin Energy. Welcome, Keith.
Thanks very much, Jane. I suspect I'll cover a number of points that the previous speakers have touched on, so I'll try and be brief. I think when we first realised the impact of the pandemic, what we tried to do was build on our existing hardship programs, but supplement that in a couple of ways. One of the things we first experienced was that customers who were contacting us often really just needed, in the first instance, a bit of time to work out what their capacity to pay was. So all of this, of course, was new. There was a lot of government assistance that was available, but they wouldn't necessarily understand whether or not they were eligible. So we provided a kind of a 5-week breathing space for customers in the first instance. If they were experiencing difficulty, they were unsure of their financial position, they thought they might have problems down the track. The easiest thing for them and the easiest thing for us to implement quickly was just to put a pause on collections activity for 5 weeks. So we'd keep our billing processes running so the customer understood what their bill was and would need to be paid in due course. But that sort of 5-week billing collections activity block proved to be the most effective way, and we've continued to do that throughout the pandemic, of just giving people a bit of space while they worked out what they need. They could then come back to us. We could have a conversation about a suitable payment plan that would allow them to pay off debt over an extended period, or give them a further extension of that sort of breathing period, or indeed refer them to our hardship program if that was what was most appropriate. In dealing with customers, we, not surprisingly, redeployed a lot of staff from other roles so that we could provide an additional resource for customer support, and we trained a lot more people and encouraged people to use the live chat function, and we found that's quite useful. So while we certainly want customers to call and have a conversation with us, we also recognise that a number of customers facing difficulty find it easier to use a live chat experience. That sort of slight distance that's put between the organisation and themselves appeals to some, and we found that useful. We're offering a range of different payment sort of plan arrangements for both residential and SME customers. We're not disconnecting customers and didn't well before any sort of regulatory requirement, and similarly stop referring customers for default credit listing. The last thing we want is for customers who've through no fault of their own hit upon a hopefully temporary problem to have a default credit listing following them around for an extended period. And we continue to provide information on government grants, and that existing support around energy consumption advice remains there. Maybe if we flick over onto the next slide, which just sets out a few examples of how we've tried to communicate with our customers. The key thing for us, of course, is to get engagement with the customer. So we've written to all our customers or emailed them. We've taken out adverts in all the major press and sort of media articles and recognition where we can continue to get our message directly through to the customers, as well as through customer advocacy groups like yourselves. And that would be the one thing that if I could leave you with something would be, we're really keen that you continue to push the message out to your client base, your constituents, to please get in touch with retailers. That's how we can help. A little bit in a similar vein to the comments from Arita, our staff are trained in identifying sort of cue phrases, whether it's I've had an unexpected expense to pay, I've got a medical expense, a medical problem, that could be a prompt to an underlying payment difficulty. So we continue to look out for those and train for those. And for the financial counsellors on the line, we've just got a note up on the screen there of our dedicated number. And yeah, we fully appreciate that while our collections activity has actually been remarkably good and much better than we originally expected through the pandemic, and that's a combination of the government relief that's been available, the relief from financial institutes, mortgage holidays, drawdown on super, a combination of those coupled with changes in behavioural factors where our customers are choosing to save, pay bills, discretionary spend has gone down in other areas. We're only too well aware that we've got much of ahead of us with a decline in the economic conditions, and so we're continuing to work through that and work with regulators and customer groups on how we maintain that support. Thanks, Jane. I might leave it there to leave some time for questions.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. And I do know some of the contact that EWOQ's been receiving more broadly in discussions is the really great move not to be credit listing customer, particularly in the current environment when it's really outside their control, and the longer term implications that are significant. So it's great to see the energy providers taking that on board and really understanding the long-term perspectives for their customers as well. So thank you very much, Keith. So we were now to have Stephen from Red. Hi, Stephen, I hope you are at least online listening. So if you don't mind, I will just share the slide information with everyone. Stephen did provide a lot of more information for us as well in regards to, where they're at and what they're doing, but it is all very similar to what you've already heard today. So Red Energy is also, for those of you, they also run Lumo Energy. So one of their big mantras is believes in doing the right thing for the customers, and they have a 100% Australian-based customer solutions team is ready to help. Their customer care program has specially trained team available 8 AM to 6 PM Monday to Friday on that 1-800 number, and there's the email address. And again, really big call out from them, the same as you've heard from everyone else. Please contact Red Energy, discuss any changes to their circumstances or difficulties in meeting the agreed payment plans or anything you may be on, to ensure that they can actually then, work with you to look at what else may be available and how else they can proceed. So if anyone has anything specific, as I've said for Red, please put it in on the email chat and we can actually get that through to him and then provide you the information back. Wonderful. So I know there was a lot of information in everyone's slides about some hardship identifiers and verbal cues. So we've just summarised these up for everyone to see and understand. And we also know and understanding by speaking with financial counsellors and also with our customers, some people struggle to actually say what they believe is the right thing to get through to the teams that can help them or can understand them better. So we wanted to make sure that we shared with you all the verbal cues that all of our presenters today, their team are trained on and what to look for in triggers and comments to say. So that if you've got someone who is having difficulty to have that conversation or to start that conversation, there's some information there that you can provide to them to help them, reach out and have that conversation with them. So we'll make sure that this information all gets out to you in the pack. But that's some of those comments there. So just let you have a look at that for one moment. So now it's time for some of your questions. And I thank you to everyone who's provided questions either before today or in the Q&A feed. So Marianne from AGL, first question I have up is for you. And how do we refer customers for a home energy audit with AGL?
Yes, it's very easy. Either yourselves on behalf of your clients or the clients themselves call AGL and ask for one, and their details will be referred onto YESS, and someone from YESS will give them a call to organise an appointment.
Great, thank you. So another question for AGL. So Marianne will ask you while you're still online.
Sure.
So this is from Rose. How do you select the customers for the payment matching? Will you be doing payment plan matching as opposed to the upfront lump sum matching?
Yeah, so when I was speaking about payment matching before, this program will run from November until June 2021, and this is very much a long-term, not a lump sum, basically, is what I'm trying to say. In terms of the target group, those customers who we've deemed eligible for the program have already been sent communications in the last couple of weeks to say that you're invited to participate in this offer. So in that sense, we are sort of ring fencing it to a select group, just so we can keep control of the budget and tracking how successful it is, and making sure those customers are in the initial group are supported. So they tended to be customers, you know, with the higher consumption and the higher debt, and you know, and making payments but maybe not enough to cover their consumption. I hope that answers your question. If you've got any follow-ups, very happy to answer.
Wonderful, thank you very much. I have had a question which is a really interesting question that I'm sure all of us from all aspects of the customer are thinking about regularly. So I might open it up to the panel if anyone would like to make a comment. But the question is, how will what has been discussed so far change when the AER update their statement of expectations late in October? Do you think it'll have significant changes to your program, and depending on either way that they go, if they continue it on or if they reduce or change some of the principles? Do you think it will have much impact to what you as a business are planning on doing?
Hi Jane, it's Keith from Origin. Happy to take that one in the first instance. We've been having some good conversations with the AER, and it is their intent to extend that statement of expectations probably through till sometime the other side of Christmas in the first instance. I think the changes we'll see from them will be sort of modest, and I think they're just trying to find that pathway back to I guess a sustainable business as usual approach, while recognising that the problems that customers are still facing, and indeed the risk of a further sort of economic downturn and more problems. So they're kind of acutely aware of the balancing act. I think from a retail perspective, equally, we're trying to find that balance. There is a need at some point to start to return to more normal collections activity, and the one thing we're concerned about is the group of customers who are not engaging, and unfortunately it is those sort of disconnection notices that are sometimes the prompt that bring a customer to a conversation where we can give them the assistance or information that they're looking for. So I wouldn't expect that it's going to be I guess a dramatic change. They're trying to find that sort of balance and recognise the need for continued assistance, and we're working in with them and giving them our views as we go.
That's great. Great to hear that, Keith, and glad to see that they're reaching out directly as well. So that's really good. Anyone else from the panel like to make a comment or anything more they'd like to add to what Keith has already stated?
Jane, it's Mel. I was just going to say it's really just about being flexible and open to whatever changes or enhancements are made to the positioning in, you know, how can our business work to make sure that we're moving fast to align, and you know, we've got all of those priorities in place to be able to move quickly on that. And I think all the retailers would agree that you know, it's something that our customers are at the forefront of everything that we do. So it's really important that we can be agile and adjust our businesses as we need to.
Wonderful, that's great. Well, and certainly support that 150% from EWOQ, absolutely. So I have another question here, and maybe Clara, this may be a great one for yourself. Financial hardship. So Vicky has asked this question: what have been the impacts of COVID-19 on hardship, and what programs have you found that's really been working well for your customer base?
Good question. I think the key thing that's been working for us is really trying to engage with the consumer in a different way. So to the point that we were making earlier, if a customer misses a payment, but you know they've been a good payer before, or they may never have been in this situation before, we're really finding that removing some of those black and white rules that we're talking around about what is considered hardship versus what isn't has really helped. So a lot of these people, you know, I'll give you the example of, let's say it's a payment plan every fortnight, you pay $10. Maybe the threshold for that payment plan breaking before COVID was $8 or $7. We've really found that by sort of playing around with those leniency numbers, you're actually rewarding a customer for choosing us. So, you know, a customer like all of us has multiple different bills, you know, insurance, energy, banking, telephone, I mean, who knows what else it could be. So even if you're making $5, you're still making a gesture. You're making a gesture to choose us. And then by following through with that customer to understand what their capacity to pay is ongoing, not removing them from payment plans, not sort of rocking the boat too much, we're finding that really works, and trying as much as possible to tailor it to that person versus trying to have a blanket approach. We're finding that works quite well. See what else, you know, over the next coming weeks and months. I think everyone's in agreement that this isn't really changing or going anywhere anytime soon. So I'm sure there'll be more that we can do, and we're constantly open, you know, obviously, to different ideas. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you very much. So a question I have, and I'll open up to the panel if anyone has anything they'd like specifically to ask, but do you take any different approach with your ATSI customers, or engage different with the support networks for ATSI customers? And just for that is Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders networks.
Jane, it's Jen Gates here. I would tend to think that the great concentration of our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities and customers would be located in regional Queensland. So that might be, whilst I'm from Energy Queensland, I really wouldn't want to speak on behalf. I know that they have dedicated, and Ergon Retail has dedicated programs for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander customers that are targeted to their particular needs. So it could be that could be addressed tomorrow in tomorrow's session.
We did have a comment, and I'm hoping I pronounce it correctly, from Shanae. It's absolutely fantastic to see your energy retailers doing so much work in the hardship space and supporting customers during this time. Great presentation. So thank you very much, Shanae. So we have one last question. It's a question from Kylie. How flexible are providers when it comes to extended payment terms and incentives? Do you think you've sort of reached a flexibility, or do you think there may be avenues to keep exploring and innovating how you can assist consumers going forward?
I'm happy to jump in there if you like.
Thank you.
Yes, the separate COVID support program has now wrapped up, and if those customers still need support, then they can come onto the AGL Staying Connected program, and we haven't needed to make any amendments to that program because we deem it as, you know, working quite well to support our customers as it runs now. So customers can apply. There's no sort of barriers to entry, and then they nominate a payment arrangement that suits them, and then we support them through that. And as long as the customers keep engaged and keep paying, or if they can't pay, they keep engaged to let us know what's happening, then generally we can work with that scenario. But it's done sort of within the framework of our hardship program.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And now one last question that I'll put to you all, and then we'll close off to keep us all on time. So it's a question from Jennifer. Do retailers support changes to the Energy Made Easy website that would allow customers to meet a dollar energy budget rather than the best deal for the kilowatt hours currently consumed? Anyone got a comment or a thought they'd like to share on that one? Or a thought on the Energy Made Easy website of how you think it may be better for consumers? Okay. So I know that we've all spent a lot of time and energy working with them on the Energy Made Easy website. I certainly know from an Ombudsman's perspective that I will make sure that I think some changes in the Energy Made Easy website would actually assist customers in understanding a little bit more. I know myself, I told my mother to look on the website and she come back with 72 contract offers. And then she said, can you pick one? And I'm like, oh, okay. I refused to go through all the 72 offers with her, but it certainly made it confusing for someone. And I'm certainly that my mother's not alone in that confusion. So we will continue to, have those discussions with the Energy Made Easy website as well, just to see the best we can do for consumers, particularly going forward as well. I think that's really relevant and important as well. Okay, so any of the presenters, any last comments or anything that you would like to make?
I'd just like to say thank you. It's been a great opportunity to see what everyone's doing and for us to share. So thanks Jane, it's been great.
Wonderful, thank you. So I suppose the big question for everyone now is, so what's next? I think it's really important that we all keep talking and look, for all of those that are on the call, if you or one of your clients have an issue, remember to chat with your provider and then also come through to us, and we'll continue to look at our process as well to ensure we're meeting everyone's evolving needs of the customers and our members during this time, because we also realise if a matter comes to us, it's important that it gets through quickly and that the providers get the opportunity to work with the customer or yourselves directly, or that we all get to work together. So that's really pivotal for all of us at this time. I'd like to thank you all for attending today, and to our scheme participants for your contribution. It's been great, a really good conversation. Depending on how this statement of expectation goes, beware, I might contact you for another webinar earlier in the year just to see where we're at and how things are progressing. So thank you everyone for your contribution and for joining us today. A recording of the webinar will be published on the EWOQ website, and we'll send all the attendees a link once it's available, as well as the slides that are shared by our presenters today. Again, I would appreciate if you could take a couple of minutes to provide your feedback about the webinar through the survey link on the Q&A section. As I said, we're hosting a second webinar tomorrow to discuss the impact of COVID-19 on customers in regional Queensland with Ergon. So anyone that may be interested in hearing what's happening there, please register via the section in our website. The EWOQ team are available if you ever want anyone to present anything from our perspectives. Please contact us via marketing@ewoq.com.au or contact myself. I'm sure I've met a lot of people who are out there online listening today. So thank you once again, everyone, for your time. Have a great rest of the day and stay safe and well, everyone. Thank you.